Today, let's set our sights on cheat days. What exactly is a cheat day? Well, it is when you eat clean and by the books for X amount of days in a row and then you splurge on 1 day a week. Usually it's eat clean for 6 days and then eat anything under the moon on day 7. Well, I've got a little bit of a problem with that for a number of reasons. First things first, let me give you a little history lesson of my own personal life. Back in the early 2000s, I used to be very religious when it came to cheat days. I would spend 6 days eating very clean by the books, and then on day 7, I would eat everything in sight. And you know what happened on Monday? I felt like a rhinoceros was standing on my head and stomach all at the same time. I was absolutely 100% lethargic. I felt sick to my stomach. I went to the bathroom a million times, not to sound graphic, but it happened, and it is reality. And I felt like I wanted to be dead at a couple times during the day. And at any given moment, I could have just laid down on the floor and fallen asleep. And I'm talking about from the time I woke up in the morning until the time I went to bed, that happened. All day. There was no reprieve from that. And I had massive stomach aches and belly aches all day long. And that's when I did this complete cheat day, and I did that for several years in a row. Then I got wiser, and I cut it down to a half day. And it got a little bit better. The daily food hangover after the cheat day wasn't so severe or so bad, but it was still bad enough for me to regret my eating habits the day before when I kind of went off the rails for the second half of the day. Then I whittled it all the way down to a cheat meal once a week. So 6 days plus 3/4 of the day I would eat really clean, and then I'd have a cheat meal. And I didn't have the ancillary belly aches and depression and anxiety and all the stuff associated with eating everything in sight the day before, but I still kind of felt like I wanted more, like I needed more. And when I had that one cheat meal, Tuesday would come and I was jonesing for another cheat meal. And I didn't have one, and I knew it was going to be 5 days away, and I was stressed all the time, and I was anxious all the time, and I was going all over the place, like a crazy squirrel running around in circles. So, what I deduced was this. I don't recommend you do cheat days, and I don't recommend you do cheat meals, and don't factor them into your diet like that. Look at dieting a completely different way. Change your perspective, and here's what I suggest you do. If you're craving a cheeseburger in the middle of the week, get a cheeseburger. Have a cheeseburger. Have french fries. Have french fries with gravy on them, or cheese on them, or however you like to prepare them. Have a nachos platter. Have some kind of meal that you're craving in the middle of the week. And you know what? If you just do it once and allow that with yourself, and you know all the time that whenever some kind of craving hits you, you're going to satisfy that craving, you'll be way less stressed, and you're going to do way less damage with your diet. Because what you're going to find out is half of the portion that you would eat in a cheat day or a cheat meal day is going to satisfy you, and you're going to be totally fine, and you're not going to go too far off the rails, because you're going to remember what it feels like when you used to have that full cheat day or that cheat meal, and you don't want to have all of those terrible feelings the next day, physically, mentally, and emotionally, because believe you me, they are real, and they happen to me. So my suggestion is just factor in foods that you like and foods that you enjoy during the week, and just respect them, and have a marginal amount or a moderate amount, and then live to your next day. So if the middle of the week comes and you want pizza, have a few slices of pizza and stop, and have the discipline to do that. And then know that 2 or 3 days will roll by and maybe you'll have another craving for french fries. So get some french fries. But if you're going to eat these foods, also you have the option of choosing healthy versions of them, or healthy options too. So instead of getting a regular cheeseburger, or instead of going to a fast food joint to get your own meat and prepare it yourself. Get some bison, get some ground beef that's 100% organic, get something that's local ground beef, and come home and prepare your own burger, and get a low-carb bun and lettuce and tomato and some organic cheese and put it on there, and some ketchup. And then the damage that's going to be done is going to be way less worse than if you have a fast food type hamburger and french fries. And if you go for the fast food place, that could lead to a milkshake and a soda and all these other things that you may gorge on and you're going to regret. So that's my suggestion to you. Find the healthiest, cleanest food you possibly can. Use that as a replacement for the junky stuff, and try to find the lowest calorie versions as well. And then you can still satisfy your cravings for all this junk food you like sometimes, or these cheap meals that you like to have sometimes. You can factor them in, and you're not going to have any of this anxiety or depression or sleepless nights or feeling of, rhinoceroses standing on your chest and stomach the next day afterward. That is solid advice, my friends. Now, let me tell you about another revelation I came upon as a default way back then when I was doing the cheat days and the cheat meals. I would eat super clean Monday through half a day on Sunday. And not only did I eat clean, but I slowly reduced my carbs throughout the week to a point where I probably had about maybe 60 to 70 grams of carbs on days Friday and Saturday, let's call it that. Not knowing that what I was doing was called the anabolic diet. And I came across this years later when I was doing some research. So I was just doing it because I was just experimenting. I would eat super clean, I would cut my carbs down during the week, and then I would have huge cheat meals on Sunday. And that's probably why I had the massive stomach aches and everything else that happened on Monday. Then I would go to the gym on Monday after work when I was used to work an 8 to 5 job, and I would have tremendous workouts. I would be huffing and puffing. I would be my cardiovascular would be tanked. I'd be sweating like crazy, but I was absolutely jacked, and veins were popping out of my arms the size of like number 3 pencils. And it was unbelievable. And I remember seeing myself in the mirror like, wow, I'm jacked. But I couldn't breathe, and I felt like crap, and my stomach was still hurting, and my eyes were burning, and like I felt like garbage. But that next day workout was unbelievable through the roof. Come to find out all these years later, there's this diet, and there's a book called Anabolic Diet. I believe that's what it's called. And it's basically the exact same thing I was doing. It's when you slowly reduce your carbs throughout the week, and then you have an overabundance of carbs, I think 2 days a week, or something along those lines. And don't quote me. Maybe it's like 4 days of low carb, 3 days of carbing up, or something back and forth. And that's a way to really get that massive pump that you're oftentimes looking for. And it's a way to deregulate and then upregulate your carbs, and you kind of go back and forth. And I came across that by default, and I was doing it obviously the unhealthy way. So if you ever want to dabble with that, look it up. I think it's called the Anabolic Diet, if I'm not mistaken. And in the big picture, if you follow a time-restricted eating plan as well, I didn't even mention fasting yet, how that can be integral into your cheat meals or cheat days. If you have those cravings during the week, just restrict the time in which you eat. So have a meal at like 10 o'clock and 4 o'clock and be finished by 6. And make sure that you place that cheat meal or whatever the craving is in your second meal of the day. And you will do way less damage than if you eat late at night like 9 or 10 o'clock. Okay? So there's a big experiment for you to do. There's a big knowledge bomb for you, a nutritional knowledge bomb. And my challenge to you is give it a spin. Let me know how you make out. And also, please let me know if you have any questions or comments. Till next time.